What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Royale YouTube channel. We got a transfer, and that is Alton McCaskill, the former Houston running back, heading to Colorado. What does that mean for Colorado's offense? So they've been in the news. We got Coach Prime out there. We did a video on Shedeur Sanders. We looked at that. Travis Hunter. They've had a ton of transfers, and they've had a ton of controversy a little bit. Like, should they be getting rid of these guys? And then we have Alton come in there, very, very solid running back prospect from Houston, and he's going to definitely help out that offense. So we're going to do that like we always do in these videos. We're going to look at a little bit of breakdown of what he was as a running back at Houston 2 years ago before he tore his ACL, how he could fit in this offense, and what is that outlook going forward, especially with Colorado's schedule. So you know the deal. As the intro is going, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. All right, so let's dive into Alton. We'll just talk about what he does well and just kind of look at his stats and everything from there. So when we're looking at what he does, now this was at Houston where he kind of did this his freshman year. He was a touchdown scoring machine. So when you're looking at overall 16 touchdowns here, 961 yards, 189 attempts. He was absolute phenomenal football player out there at Houston. And he looked good, right? So we're talking 6'1", 215. So we're talking about a big back here. We're not talking about a small guy. We're not talking about kind of what we generally think of. This kid really stepped up. And many people had him as like a top 5 guy of the class heading into last year. Then he tore his ACL in spring ball, and he's been out since then, right? So we're talking about a kid that performed very well at his previous spot. The reason why he did transfer, so based on all the stuff that I've looked at, is NIL. Like, he definitely needed the money, and he was definitely looking for different NIL opportunities. And, Colorado is a good spot for him to found. So now let's talk about this. We're going to look at by the numbers. So this is PFF. So just to kind of give you an idea where this comes from. Now, before I get the PFF guys that hate me and hate that site and all that stuff in my mentions, listen, these are just kind of numbers to kind of give you a more of like if you're a Colorado fan, what is this kid? Like, overall, what do we see from him? So first thing about the numbers, yards after contact average. So in Houston, his freshman year, he had 509 yards after contact, and it was about 2.69, yards per, after contact. What I like about that is he does have a pretty good ability to kind of break off of guys, good contact balance. And you saw that. So he does have that ability in his game. Now, when you're looking at overall, like what he did is missed tackles for us at 29. So when you're talking about like what he was able to do there, 29 there after the contact, 509, like he can make guys miss kind of. Like when he's in over the field, he does have that ability. He's more of a straight line runner though. So when you're talking about like overall, what does he look like as a runner? He definitely is more of a straight line guy. He's got good straight line speed though. So, when you're looking at the breakaway percentage, 45% is pretty fairly good. Like when you're talking about breakaway percentage, what he's able to do there, like that is a very, very good percentage there. Breakaway yards is at 440. And you notice that when you watch the tape. Now, some will point out like, he had his really good game against Temple and some of these other teams. You're talking about, the conference that they play in, the American Conference, didn't have necessarily the highest level of talent, right? So you have to put these things in perspective. I think it's important to note, like when you're looking at players' profiles, to understand context, because people can make numbers look any way they want in terms of trying to, understand a prospect. What we're trying to do here in this channel, give you the whole context, and you make the decision for yourselves. Now, elusive rating was pretty good, 43.6%. He looked very good that year. He had a big game against SMU where his elusive rating definitely popped up a little bit. But on average, you're looking at a 40 to 50% elusive rating, and he does have that ability when you're talking about in the open field. And part of that definitely runs into his running style, his missed tackles for us, his ability to kind of do that. And he did look good at times, and he definitely looked good against that talented American. Like we're talking about East Carolina, Tulsa, Navy, some of those games where he had some big games there, he looked really good. But then again, Auburn, when we're talking about like his overall context of his profile against Auburn that year in the bowl game, he did have 78 yards off 14 carries. He did average 5 yards a carry. And he did have a kind of receiving upside a little bit, a touchdown. So receiving wise, he did have 21 catches, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So not a big time receiver, but he's someone that is manageable. Right? He's capable of doing things in that receiving game. Now, let's kind of go through the, just what he does well. First, contact balance. I think that's the biggest thing that stands out to me. And the numbers tell you. the numbers and just his film. Like both those things, he does have that. His ability to kind of break through arm tackles, he has that ability, and it's something that is a strength of his. He's going to need that too. So when we look at the outlook, when we start talking about the outlook at Colorado, that offensive line is makeshift. They've had some pieces move around. They got a couple transfer guys, and we've seen that. But overall, Colorado definitely needs to they're going to have an offensive line issue. And I think that's something that Colorado fans need to know. I think it'll be okay, but they definitely need that help there. And I think with his skills, he can kind of alleviate some of those issues. Now, good straight line speed, you saw that elusive rating, his ability to kind of get it. When he gets going, he's one of those runners that definitely, when he gets going, not a lot of guys are going to stop him, right? So when he gets going there, you're going to see that he has really good patience. So I think the biggest thing for me, so when I was going through all my stuff, I have my depth chart and everything there in terms of what he is and going through like the, running back rankings and everything there. His patience is second to none. Like he has ability to kind of read blocks and go through, and that straight line speed is something that you notice, right? So he has good patience. He's able to kind of know where his blockers are supposed to be. I think he reads his blocks really well. And that's something that's going to be important too when we start talking about how he's going to fit in this offense here in a minute in the video. But that's part of it. Now, as far as like areas of improvement, things that you want to work on, injuries, I'm just going to put that down. Coming off the ACL, how ready is he going to be? I think that's something to note with his profile there. Like, how ready is he going to go? Where is that going to, in terms of like the ACL, is he going to get a slow start? I think realistically, being a year and a half out, I think not necessarily going to be too big of an issue, right? It's not like he got injured in the season, but that's something to note. Lateral agility too, I think at the line of scrimmage. So he has good vision, but there's time where his explosiveness is not what it needs to be, and his lateral agility at that offensive line. I think those two things are something that you need to kind of understand. Like when he gets out into the open field, he can break away. He has that speed. He gets kind of moving in there. But that lateral agility explosive is in there. Now he can move. It's not like he's a zero there, but he definitely doesn't have it. And then to pair that with the injury, the ACL, where is that quickness, the lateral agility? Did it get affected, right? These are things that you have to know when you look at his profile because of the injury. Because before the injury, it wasn't necessarily all there. I didn't think the explosiveness was there, lateral agility. Now, it's capable. He was on his track to be like an NFL guy. But, upper level, where does that fit into this offense? I think those are things to kind of take away from it. Now, when you're talking about where he does, so let's talk about the outlook here. So when we're going over just in general, like, hey, just a depth chart, right? Kavasi Smoke is there from Kentucky transfer. Anthony Hankerson is there. Dylan Edwards is there. He probably fits in. He's definitely going to start. I think that you're looking at him, you're bringing him in here to start in this offense. And with Shador there, I think it's going to open up the running lanes. When you're talking about overall, like, Sean Lewis is there now, the offensive coordinator. His offense is absolutely phenomenal, but it's built on spacing. So you're going to see them attack the ball downfield with Shador. If they have that, they got to get upgrades at that receiver room. I know Travis Hunter said he's going to be there. When you're looking at overall where the wide receivers are, Jimmy Horn, Xavier Weaver, Michael Harrison, some guys in there. What is Assad Wasim, Deuce Roberson? Like, who are the guys going to step up in that wide receiver room? If they are able to do that, if they have a passing attack vertically, it's definitely going to open up for McCaskill. Because what you're going to look at with him, they really do look in this offense to kind of look for those, those zone rushing attacks, right? So when you're looking at what he's going to be able to do, he definitely has that, and he can create those explosive runs. So when you're looking for what Alton did at his time at Houston, so when we go through the numbers, his zone rushes, his run types is about 97. His gap was about 80. So he's pretty, looking at it, he can do both. I think in this offense, they're going to ask him to do a little bit more gap, but we'll have a little bit zone too. But when you're looking at how it's spread out, he might not see the boxes that he saw at Houston. And so this, I think, where I think he picked a perfect spot. I think in this offense will elevate him as a runner. And I think that when you're looking at him from like a Devy or college aspect, if you play fantasy football on that side, you should be excited about it because I think he can produce. Now, the offensive line is the issue. If that offensive line is bad, I think it's going to limit his ceiling, right? But from like just a player and a personnel perspective, if they get the guys in there that they need to, they build that offensive line and they get some weapons on the outside. If he stays next year, right? If he stays and he's able to do that, you could be talking about McCaskill jumping into the top 5 if they kind of fill out that area, right? But I love that he's in Lewis's offense. I think this is a really good attack for him to be in. And I think, in Sean Lewis's offense, they want a pass catcher. And will he be able to turn into that? I think that's the key too. Is he going to be able to come into that pass catching option? Will he be that moving forward? And maybe he'll develop that. And that even helps out his NFL prospects even more, right? So that's kind of the deal there. Now, Colorado's on the pace right now. When you're looking at their commits, and they've had a lot of noise right now talking about, like, are they, is Prime, over his head? What is he doing there with all the transfers out? 33rd ranked nationally in the recruiting right now, 6th in the Pac-12, which is really good for Colorado. So they're fighting in there. Now, I know their over-under, I think, is at 3 games. I like what he's kind of building and doing. If he gets to 4, I think that's a win for this program. I know many Colorado fans are around like the 6, 7, 8 mark. If he gets to 4 or 5 and shows improvement there, and he's getting this talent there, I think that's good. Remember, the guys that they got the transfer there would never have came to Colorado, right? And the guys that left are not getting very many looks out there. Like, let's be honest. So I think they're building. I think McCaskill is going to be a great fit in this offense. Shout out to Prime and Sean Lewis for getting this kid. He's a very good runner. So let's hope they develop that offensive line if we have them. So appreciate you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button before you get out of here. Check out the Patreon. Check all the fun stuff down there in the description. I'll catch you guys on the next episode.